everybody and welcome on today's video. Today is repotting day for my pomegranate fusion project that has been struggling for quite a lot of years. I still have a few gaps here. This is a minor one, this is a bigger one, this is an enormous one, so there's almost nothing there. And this is a, well, rather small one. So I have quite a lot of cuttings and I'm going to take these cuttings now. But first of all, I'm going to remove this tree from its pot. It's not been repotted for, I think, at least 3 years. But now the trees that are growing in it are healthy, are happy. So I think it's, well, the right time to do that. Let's have a look at this roots first. So before I forget to mention it, it's the end, mid-September now, and well, the growing season here is almost over, but we are not going to have any frost until, I think, half October, so that gives me a good month for these new trees to establish themselves. And I wanted to do this now because I saw a video from Mike Toy from Bonsai Boise. I'm sure you know him. If you don't, well, please check out his channel, Bonsai Boise, B-O-I-S-E. It's very nice, very interesting, nice guy, nice projects. And what I've been doing the last month is digging always a little deeper to make sure that I have some space to put the new cuttings in. Now, I've been doing this for, well, some time now, and the good thing is that I have room to put new trees in. But I also want to take this guy out of the pot and then clean up everything, see how well it grew, and then maybe replace some of this soil. So therefore I'm just going to take my tray here, lift this thing out of the pot. I don't think it's going to be difficult. It is not. And there we have it. It's a good root mat, not completely root bound of course, but I'm sure I will be able to replace some of this soil with maybe a little better draining soil. Am I going to cut off a lot of roots? I don't think so. Probably just the mat under it and a little bit of the sides. So I'm going to rake away here. Fun thing is that some of these roots are already absolutely great, but since this tree had some trouble getting healthy, I don't think it's appropriate to, well, it did very well the 2 last years, but before, not so much. So I'm not going to be too severe on that. Of course I will have to remove lots of stuff here in order to get room for the new cuttings. So here of course I have to get off a little more. But you see, this is absolutely not root bound. Well, it cannot be root bound over here, there's nothing growing, so. But here it looks fine. This side looks much better. So I guess we have more roots here. As you see, there's absolutely nothing organic here. And yeah, well, not everyone thinks the same, but I think that adding a little bit of organic is always a good thing. But how much? What's the good balance? Soil will always remain one of the big bonsai mysteries. But I guess if something works for you, that's what you should keep. Drainage is important. but retaining some moisture is important, and nutrients is important, so everything is important. But this is nothing organic in it, and I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to continue this, and then when this is all cleaned up, we'll have a look at the cuttings. So I think the root ball is now as clean as I want him, and the portions where we have good fusion, you see already there is fusion, so that's very nice. That's also almost fused. And the portions where I don't have any trees, well, of course, there I need a lot of space, a lot of room. But the portions where it's okay, I'm not going to remove too much stuff. So here I need some space, so let's make some space. And here, so just opening this up so that I'm able to add a couple of trees. So I'm going to give it a light trim, especially at the bottom. But the real root work will only happen when I see that everything is fused and that every tree and every root sustains every root and every tree, if this makes sense. And so that's all that I'm gonna cut off. Yeah. So now I'm going to get my cuttings. So here are the cuttings. These three guys are cuttings 2 years old, and it's incredible. I planted them in this pot, and they were high like this, and look at this now. So pomegranate cuttings in the summer, I don't know what they're going to do in the winter. They don't like frost too much, so yeah. But anyway, this is amazing. I'm going to use these ones, and then I have a whole lot that I planted this summer. That's something else, and that I think that I can also use. Now these are way too high, so I'm going to try to use the things that I cut off here to make new cuttings, etc., etc. So and these are only a few weeks old, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and they're already growing, so it's really important to keep them in good soil, rather wet. So it's this bonsai only draining. No, it's not good. These are also cuttings, made them also 2 weeks ago, but this is in a little well, bottle greenhouse. So I'm going to get these big ones and these 3 big ones, and going to try to work with that. The cuttings came out in almost 1 block, and look at that, these roots are here. Can you imagine that? So let's also analyze this soil, a little bit of draining material, for the rest garden compost. And these trees, they grew like crazy. So I'm just going to try to separate them. Here you see they did not grow very well. This came out of a pot where I had only 3 survivors. So that was not that great. You definitely need a good portion of draining material. But once they are in the draining material, you see, this is going to be very good. Now, I was talking about Mike Toy's channel, Bonsai Boise, and he had some experience with these pomegranates too, and he said, well, I feel that it's best to repot them while they are still growing, before they go in complete dormancy. And since my success and my experience was not that great in spring when I did that, well, you know, sometimes you have to take a little chance and do something that you have never done before. These are 3 great cuttings. And as long as they live, I'm going to be happy, so I'm not going to go too crazy on these. I'd like to find some outward facing roots, because that's what's going to make the root base of the fusion. But for the rest, well, I think that I'm not going to cut anything. I'm going to try to tuck it in as much as I can. These are the smaller ones. They're only a couple months old, but look at this. I'm sure I can work with that. Yeah. A little more sandy, the mix that I used here, but also good, I think. And these are the very last ones, so maybe this wasn't a good idea to get them out, but nah. There are roots, that's obvious, but they might just fill in a hole. So let's do that. Well, they look quite okay, I think. Yeah. Alright, so I need to wash these roots off just a little. And then I'm gonna clean up my tray here. And we'll start the planting. Yep, that's good. So this is the soil mix that I'm planning to use. As you see, 2/3 of very good draining material, and then this is just garden compost. It's even not the most recent bag that I had. And for a pot, well, I thought I could use the same one, but I made this pot out of cement, and well, I like it. So I'm going to use that one. I'm not sure if it's a good idea. If it's not, well, I can change my mind. So first of all, a little layer of just draining material. So this is my nice, I like him, I really like it. I lacked it, you know, and I let the drops go down, as you see. So this is like a sort of glaze that is, but it's cement, it's completely made out of cement. So I think it's nice. And because I don't let these pomegranates out all winter, I always get them in the garage when it's freezing. I don't think that the pot will crack, because I'm not completely sure. I used quite a lot of this cement glue. It's called compact tuna here in Belgium, but I'm sure that in other countries you have something that's quite like that. Now this is a well-draining but rich soil mix. So it means that this is, well, I hope, everything a tree needs. I don't know. These soil mixes, they're always a tricky question. And it depends on your conditions, it depends on the placement of your trees, the climate you live in. It's always a difficult question. But okay, I'm going to take this as my new standard mix, because I noticed that in the place where I live, this works quite nice. So, okay. I'm gonna take this as a front, where you see 2 little feet. And this is the tree. He's been sitting in water, and this is the front. So it fits in here, and I even can tuck the roots a little under so they don't jump up too much. Well, that looks like $100, yeah. Anyway, it's not filled enough with soil here, so I need to add a little more material here. And I was sure that I was going to make a complete mess, so I always work in trays. So a good mountain, and when you wiggle your tree, so let me have a look for the front. Yeah, this is the front, and I like it a little bit on that angle. I don't mind the little roots here just pointing up a little. I think it adds to the character. So that's what I have here. I'm going to take it off this tray and have a look, because I hope that it stays in there. Now it's facing me, of course. It stays in there for a couple of years. Yep. I think this is the right angle. Okay, so that's what it's supposed to be for you. Okay. Now I'm going to add some more trees, and I'm going to start with the biggest ones. That might be a little bit complicated. Now, as you see, well, they're enormous. They're very healthy too. You see these green leaves. This is already a little yellow. So what I'm going to do is just fill the holes, and for the rest, I'm not going to place these trees exactly where I want them next to the trunk. Doesn't matter at this point. And I think I'm going to take the biggest ones and put them here on the outside. So this is a really nice root part, and this is an aerial root, which I don't like, but I'm not going to cut it off. So this will come up to here, and I'll probably need no more than this as a height. So here it goes, and this is stuff for cuttings. So this one comes here. Right in the middle. And I'm not going to cut these roots. I'm going to tuck them in. I want this tree to have every possibility to survive and do well. And pushing it against the foam trunk will be another problem. But first of all, it needs to establish itself. If it roots well, then I can always apply the pressure later. So one thing at a time. And then I have two other big ones. This is one of them, with a very strange root, but I kind of like it. And here you see I have already some separation. There's a little branch, so I can put that one here. I'm looking at the height of the roots because I want the root plane to be, well, where it's supposed to be. That's important, because that's something I won't be able to change. So I can keep the small branch here, and I'll remove this. Again, nice cutting material, and again I'm going to tuck these roots in. Yeah, it looks strange, and it's not very bonsai technique by not removing any root. And then the third of the big ones, I'll have to search for it. I think it's this one. Is it? It is. So nice roots there. This one is ugly, but I'm going to keep it. You never know. It might just give it that final piece of nutrition or sap and moisture that it needs. So again, let's tuck this in. See where, up to where I need these branches, and remove the rest. So I have 3 branches here. You cannot see it. I'm going to try to show it. So this one and this one I will remove. Oh, there's even 4. So this is a very small one, but that's nice. And then maybe I'll remove this one partially. Okay, again, good cutting material, I hope. So I'm going to continue that for the other sides too, using the cuttings that I have left here. These are smaller ones, but nevertheless they look quite good. And there's a feather. The small ones I will include between the big ones. But I can imagine that this is getting a little boring, so I'll do that off camera and I'll be back when everything is nicely in position. So I must say that I am extremely happy. I think that I closed all the gaps rather well. I used a wire to keep the trees against the trunk, but it's not anywhere near pushing them against the trunk. That's not what I'm going to do right now. I'll do that in maybe a month or 2 when I see that the roots are well established in the pot. And yeah, then you can put the trees against the trunk, because then the base of the trees will stay where it is. So all the roots are tucked in. The cuttings that I took, well, just cut off branches right now, are waiting in the pot with water, and now I'm going to fill the rest up with soil, which is a extremely important thing. So first of all, I'm going to cover them all as fast as I can, so that they are not exposed to sun and stuff like that. So the most risky part is over. And then of course, well, as you all know, now comes the long work of working the soil in, and it's gonna take some time. So I'll be back when this is done. It's not really interesting to watch, but it is so important. It's gonna probably take me 30 to 40 minutes to do this perfectly. I really want this thing to be something. I'm so tired of it. I made so many mistakes with it, like I did with most of my fusion projects. I already told you that. For all my failures, see previous videos. Please like and subscribe. But yeah. Okay, if we all made videos, we would know what to do and what not to do. So please start make videos. By the way, it's going to be fall and then winter, and there's nothing that I like more than watching videos of fellow bonsai YouTube people. You keep my days warm. So I'll be back when this is done. Well, it was something like half an hour, and I'm not completely done yet, but I'm just pushing the last bits in with my brush. Now, it is almost impossible to get a whole thing wired, tucked in, so there's probably a few roots that are just going to appear, and I don't want that. So this is my moss reserve, and so on the big appearing roots and the small appearing roots I'll try to put some moss. You hear a lot about sphagnum moss, and I'm sure that that's really good stuff, but I don't have any. And well, just moss covers it all, helps everything to stay where you want it to stay. It's a little sticky, and it really helps keeping the moisture in your pot. And that's why I'm going to apply that on all of the little roots that I see. So they will be protected from drying out. Now, of course, where there is no new trees, there's also no need to put all that moss, especially because I don't have a ton of it, so I have to be a little, well, I have to choose where I put it. Here I have moss that did not do that well, but might do a little better when it is again well hydrated. It was a little dry, just wetted it. So I'll finish the mossing of this whole thing, and then we'll come back. So this concludes the video for today. Does this tree look great at this moment? No, it looks like a complete mess. The whole fusion idea is gone because, well, what did you expect? All these new shoots are wild, and well, yeah. This wire is going to stay here for a month or two, when the roots have grabbed themselves into the soil, I'll probably be able to remove that, and when all the leaves have dropped, then I might be able to position some of these trunks. I might film it, I don't know, it's getting boring me doing this. Yeah, that's all I can do now. Another thing that I can do, and that I of course will do, is, so this is supposed to be the front for you. Can you imagine? Yeah, is take these cuttings that have been sitting in water and then get them into the soil, and maybe I'll get a couple more good cuttings if I need them to replace some casualties. This tree needs a good soaking now, so I'm going to put it in a bucket full of water up to here, let it sit for half an hour, and then peace will come back on these roots. So that's it. If you liked it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see how this started and how it will evolve. If you have some experience with pomegranate, please tell me, put links in the videos, I'd love to watch it. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.